So I decided to make a quick video about drawing this detail right here. So we started a brand new drawing. We turned off our grid, which is something I like to do. And then you want to save it, right? Navigate over to the folder you want to save it in and save it as the assignment number. And then go to layer properties. We've gone through this already in the class, so I'm going to pick up the pace a little. Click on here, the new layer icon, and let's type in objects. Press enter twice and type in dim text. Those two layers are really the only two we need for this one. You can change the color if you'd like. Here, I'm using a white background, but you're probably using a black one, so use those brighter colors if you'd like for those layers. Okay, we also did make the objects layer darker because usually the objects are darker. So we'll click on the default here for line weight and then pick 0.60. Set the object layer current here. We have created already layers that have hidden lines and center lines. And if we haven't, we'll get to that. Okay. And so now I'm ready. I can draw the box that's 5 by 3.5. We can either draw it as a rectangle or we can draw it as individual lines. We've been drawing a lot of individual lines, so maybe this time we'll try a rectangle. In the draw panel here, we'll be able to click on rectangle. It says in your command line first corner point, so I'm going to click here for my first corner. And then for my second corner, instead of clicking for a second corner, right, there are a couple different ways you can do this, but I'm going to go ahead in the command line and select dimensions. Or you could type in D for dimensions. And now it's asking you what the dimensions are for your rectangle. You can type in 5 for the length and enter, and then 3.5 and enter. Now, you're not done yet because you've just created the dimensions for your rectangle. So we'll pull our mouse up here towards the right and left click. There. Now, if you wanted to go back and draw that as individual lines, you can. Now, with this, because this is a polyline, when you draw a rectangle, we're just going to get into this habit, which you don't have to do. With this one, we will because we're going to be building out this piece right here. We're going to explode it. So just picking up a few more tools here. Underneath the erase icon, I'm going to click on explode. I'm going to select my polyline right there and enter. And see it's all one piece, but now it's individual pieces. So now we have our box. Let's start with the rectangular array. At the bottom left corner, we have a circle that is a radius of 0.188, and it's 0.5 from this corner. We've already looked at offset, although offset is a tool for us to use to offset the bottom line up 0.5 and this line over 0.5. I'd like to show you a new tool, kind of advanced, but I think we're at that point. If not, it's a nice tool to work with, and if you'd like to use offset, that's your choice. What we can do is use tracking, but this time we're going to use tracking and place a temporary tracking point. So a little bit more here to work with. We can start the circle command, and it is radius, the circle center radius. Now, what we're going to do down here at the bottom is just place your pointer on that corner, but don't click. Pull your mouse to the right a little bit and type in TT and enter. And then type in here 0.5 and enter, making sure your mouse movement is pulling like to the right, right? See what it does? Now be careful not to go over that little alignment point right there, but it just puts a little tracking point there, 0.5 away from the corner. You can then pull your mouse straight up and type in 0.5 and enter. See what it does? It brings you to that point where you want to draw this circle, and the radius, I'm going to type in 0.188 and enter. So that's another way of drawing an object by using tracking. Instead of just tracking from this object snap over, we went over and up using TT for temporary tracking to set this little alignment point. If that is not working for you, I'm going to do this again here the way we've been working with offset, right? And that's good at practice as well. I just erased that circle. I'm going to start the offset command. When you start the offset command, it's the icon right up here. You look at your command line, you type in 0.5 and enter. Now we select the bottom line and pick anywhere above it and select this one and click anywhere to the right. We can then start the circle center radius here tool and click here to the intersection and type in 0.188. Now I need to come back and select these two lines and erase them. I can right click and erase or click the erase icon. Either way, now we have a circle that's 0.5 from the corner and its radius 0.188. Now rectangular array, we're going to pick up a couple of commands here in this assignment. We'll first create here the two columns right here and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows with one tool. And then we'll use mirror to mirror it over to the other side. Okay, so rectangular array is up here in the modify panel. And if you just rest your pointer on the tool, you can take a look at the graphics showing you that if you have one object or like a set of objects, you can create a grid of those objects. So you watch your command line here. Let's go ahead and pick rectangular array. We can select this circle as the object, and then as you know, if you're done selecting objects, you have to press enter or right click. And now here they've given us these tools to use these little grip arrows to kind of like decide on how many we want, right? We could have a whole grid of these, but the command line or the ribbon changes completely. So if you look up in the ribbon here, you can control how many columns. We're going to change the columns to 2. And when I press enter, you see now I have 2 columns. And then underneath columns, it's the distance between the columns, which here is 0.75, and enter. So now I've got the columns ready. Now the rows. Now we do have 5 rows, so that's good. But the distance between those rows is 0.625, and enter. And now we have our rectangular array. We can pick the green check mark right here to close the array, and there it is. Now it does make the array all one piece, so if you needed to change it, you could just click on it, and then you make the change in the ribbon. I'm going to use my escape key to get out of that. Sometimes we do have to explode the array in order to use the circles, and that's okay as well. You can use that same explode command there. So now we can use the mirror command to mirror these circles over to the other side. We want to make sure that we have down here the object snap midpoint that's checked. So down at the bottom there, you can click on this arrow, look at the menu, and there it is. So it's checked. When we checked it earlier, it stayed there, right? These are those running object snaps. So now we can go up here and modify and click on mirror, these kind of back-to-back triangles. And then we want to select these circles. Now I can select them all at once because they're the array. But if you didn't have it arrayed, like you exploded it, you could click in space and pull your mouse across those to select them. So all the circles are selected. Look at your command line. When you're done selecting something and you're ready to go to the next step, you press enter or right click is like an enter. First point of mirror line, I'm going to click up here for my first point of the mirror line, and then second point of mirror line. So watch your command line, that's your key. And here I can bring my mouse down and just click anywhere. I don't have to go all the way. And watching your command line, it says, do you want to erase these source objects? Sometimes we just want to flip the image to the other side. So we don't, right? We need those original ones, so we'll pick no. And there's our mirror. So now we can start to build out this kind of piece in here. I'll get a little closer to it. There it is. So we can start to use offset. I'm going to go ahead and start the offset command and type in 0.5 and enter. I can then click here for the top line and pull my mouse down. Now, we've been using offset by going back and starting it, but it does keep you in the command now. So we could click on here right inside that offset command, this line on the far left right here. And when you pull your mouse to the right, you see how it recognizes the 0.5, but it gives us the opportunity to type in 2 and enter. So let's try that again. You're still in the offset command. You can click on the line on the right-hand side, pull your mouse to the left and type in 2 and enter. Now, if you're more comfortable with going up to offset each time, that works as well. It keeps you in the command, so now we can escape or right-click and pick enter. Now we're ready to create these two circles. I think it would be a good idea to copy them and get that experience. So we're going to explode the array. So up here, go down to this icon right underneath the erase and start the explode command. Select your circles here and enter. Now they're kind of individual circles. Now you could draw these circles, but why not practice a little with copy? So we're going to start the copy command. It's in the modify here panel. It looks like these three circles here. I'm going to go ahead and click on copy. I'm going to select one of my circles as my object because my command line says select objects and enter. And now it's asking for a base point. The base point is where you want to pick it up. So I'm going to click here the center of the circle as my base point, and I'm going to go over here and click the intersection of these two lines here and then here. It's the same process for move. If you select the object, enter it, pick a base point where you want to move it from, and then enter. So now it keeps this on your command line. You can right click and pick enter, or it keeps it on your pointer. Okay, so now we're ready to use the trim command. The trim is next to erase right there, the little scissors icon. And with this new trim, we can just come in here and trim out all the little pieces that we don't want. So if I start trimming this, I'm going to have a bunch of little pieces. So sometimes it's better to just leave it and erase it. Now with these, it will automatically erase it. But you see what I mean? If I click here, I have to click, 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 click. When you could go ahead and enter and just like pick up this one, right click and erase. So it's totally up to you which way you want to get rid of those extra lines. We can now use the fillet command, which is right underneath the trim right there. I'm going to go ahead and start fillet. With the fillet command, as we did before, we want to pick up multiple. So in the command line, you can click on the word multiple or type in M and enter for multiple. And then right away, go ahead and click on radius, because we need to set up the radius. The radius for this one, well, actually we have two different radiuses, but we can stay right in the command. Or is that radii? Anyways, we have 0.5 for the outside corners. So I'm going to type in 0.5 because my command line says fillet radius. And now I'm going to be able to click on these two lines and these two to establish these corners. But I'm still in the fillet command, so I'll go down here and click on a radius because the radius for the inner corners here is are 0.25. So 0.25 and enter. I can click here and here, and then here and here. And there's the project that we're working on for this assignment. We can drop this layer list down and click on dim text and start to place our linear dimensions here. We do have a couple of dimensions here I need to kind of help you with. The first dimension here, we're going to type in I went ahead and started linear, and I clicked here and here, and pull your mouse up and click there. Type in D and enter. Pick the modify button. In the primary units tab, we'll change our precision here to 0.0. 0.0. This is where I'm going to show you how to change the precision on individual dimensions. All of them will be 0.0, and then we'll change individual ones. So let's see, it looks like we still do have the 0.5. So I'm good. I can pick OK and pick close. Now we have other linear dimensions. Remember we said that when we start the linear tool and we click for our extension lines, if we want to line it up with something that's existing, pull your mouse over to that arrow and click on it so you know it's right on in line with it. So I can right click to repeat the dim linear and click these 2 points to get the 3.5. I can then right click, repeat the dim linear, and just keep going. Here we have 0.5. We're going to need to move that 0.5 over, but I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to go ahead and line that up here so that I can have all these dimensions here at the bottom. So before I keep going, first of all, I'm going to click on this 0.5 dimension and click inside the grip where the text is and kind of pull it over, right? You can pull it over to the left side. It doesn't have to be exactly like that. And then this is where we, I just want to make sure that these are lined up. Yeah. Okay, good. This is where, if we want to change the precision for this one, you click on it, you right click and go to precision, and now you can change it to 0.00, which changes it to 0.75, which is what we need. And the default is to fit it in between the arrows if it can fit between the arrows, and that's what it did. It just kind of like popped over there. But we'll go ahead and use the grips to pull here that text out of those dimensions. And there it is. So same over here, we're going to start the linear tool and pick up our 0.5 here, right click and repeat dim linear to get between the circles. I put it out here probably because it was getting crowded there. But here's that other time when we want to change our precision for that specific one. We can click on it, right click, go to precision, and pick 0.000. Right. So we have now one more linear, which is right here, the 0.5. And the rest of them are going to be a combination of the command that's in the drop down that's called radius underneath linear. So let's go ahead and pick radius right there. I'm going to click this one circle and pull my mouse out and click. As you can see, the node is not the same. So the first thing I'll do is select this dimension, right click, go to precision, and change it to 0.000. There it is. But then I need to add that text, right? 22 times. We have 22 circles that are that radius. So you can double click right on the text. And you see the blinking cursor is right there. So I can just go ahead and type in 22. I'll just put a space in there, X and space. And now you see I kept that defined field. I can go in and click in space. So that's one way of placing this leader from the circle, is to use the actual dimension. But what it does is it leaves that little plus sign right there. So I want to turn that plus sign off. And let's do that together. We're going to type in D and enter and pick the modify button. And over in the symbols and arrows tab, I'm going to look for center marks and pick none right there and pick OK and close. I find myself doing that a lot to turn off that center mark default, and I'll show you why. We don't need it for this one, but I may have mentioned it in another video. When if you needed a center mark, you could go to annotate, and there is an icon right there for center mark to use as an option. Just wanted to show it to you. I'll go back to the home tab. All right, so back at the home tab, we do have what's called a leader right there. So if you click on leader, sometimes the default doesn't look exactly like this one, but we'll go for it. I'm going to click here to put the arrow there, pull your mouse over and click, and then start to type it in. So we have a radius, uppercase, radius 0.25, and then TYP. So you're basically just not associating it with the circle, but you're using the leader to create this leader, right? And align with the arrow and the text at the end of it. Click in space, and you've got your text. Same thing here. You can go to leader, click here, pull your mouse over and click, and then type in R0.5, and then click in space. Okay, now when you use the leader like that, I was using the midpoint object snap. Sometimes I have to turn off the object snaps in order to just kind of like put the arrow where I want it when I'm putting notes all around. Okay, so now we can place our multi-line text title, and everything is one-to-one, so we can just use the defaults. We're going to go to multi-line text, come over here and click for our first corner, pull your mouse over and click. With your cap locks on, you can type in assignment, go ahead and put the number there, and then put your name. Put your name down here. Highlight here assignment, and then pick underline or U up in the ribbon and click in space. Now we did talk about being able to select this text, hold your left mouse button down on it, drag it over here, and center it. So now you're ready. Hey, we might as well print this. We can go up to the plot dialog box. We have been printing here our PDFs to turn in, and this kind of like helps you to create your portfolio sheets as a potential. You can go to Plotter. You might have a DeskJot or something you're printing these with in order to create your portfolio, but here we're going to create an AutoCAD PDF, PC3, the high quality print. We'll leave the paper, but we're going to establish a plot area. We said the plot area was like the paper, right? So we're going to drop this list down and click on Window. And now I'm clicking two corners that establish kind of like a paper around it. I'm going to click, pull your mouse over. You're just clicking and letting go, right? So click, pull your mouse over here and click, and then put a check mark and center the plot right here. Make sure that at the top right corner you change this to monochrome and pick yes. That's for these layouts here at the bottom, which we're not using right now, but we will be later in the class. Let's go ahead and pick apply to layout. And guys, always preview, right? You'll see that your objects are darker if it doesn't look like this with your name on it and the assignment number. Then you can always kind of exit out of this. I just right click and exit, or you can click on this red X and it'll bring you back to the dialog box so that you can, fix things. But otherwise you can pick OK, or back in the preview, you could click on the little printer icon or right click and pick plot. And now go navigate to the folder that you want to save it in and pick save. Okay, great. I hope everything's going well for you. And this was just kind of a quick video to show you how to work with some of the commands like rectangular array, trim, explode, offset, mirror, copy, fillet, and pick up more experiences for those tools that we're using. Rectangle. Also, we looked at leader, and along with all the other tools that we have already worked with. So hope everything's going well. Take care.